I'm now going to be joined by 3 former employees from each one of the departments under fire. Christian Whiten is a former State Department senior advisor for the Bush administration and the author of the upcoming book, Smart Power, Between Diplomacy and War. John Malcolm is a senior fellow at the Heritage Foundation and served as Deputy Assistant Attorney General in the Department of Justice's Criminal Division. And Jeffrey Galante is the director of the JG Tax Group. During his 31-year career at the IRS, he held several high-ranking positions and helped write portions of the Internal Revenue Manual. I feel like what ties all of this together is that in all 3 cases, an incredibly idiotic and pedestrian answer was given. Christian, I want to start with you. The YouTube video. Nobody believed this from day one, that the attack at Benghazi was caused by a YouTube video.
That's right. And, you know, we've been focused a lot on the talking points, and the talking points are damning. The chief spokesman for Hillary Clinton was involved in dumbing down the reality that those talking points reflected. Now, what we don't know, of course, is who created the false story that this was the result of a video. But, you know, some very serious things here. And we've begun to, as with the other scandals, begun to know a little bit. But really, we need to get Hillary Clinton and Susan Rice and the spokesman, Victoria Nuland, in front of Congress to explain more about what happened.
All right, John. This is the biggest national security leak in Eric Holder's career, which is why he doesn't know who issued the subpoena. Maybe it was his deputy. Come on.
Well, there's a lot of nuances to this scandal. The Attorney General recused himself because he said, look, I had access to that classified information. I have a lot of contacts with the media. I was interviewed, I suppose, as a potential suspect in this investigation, so I recuse myself. I don't so much fault the Attorney General for that, but there's this new scandal, of course, involving Fox News. That involved approving subpoenas for telephone records. That involved approving a search warrant affidavit. The Attorney General hasn't said that he had nothing to do with those, and all of those instances involve very broad allegations against the media, including in Fox News, a search warrant affidavit in which an FBI agent says, hey, James Rosen, the chief Washington correspondent for Fox News, is a criminal. He was an aider and abettor and co-conspirator with the guy who leaked classified information. Now, if that doesn't send a chilling effect to the media, nothing will.
That, and I have never seen a memo of Holder's recusal. Now, Jeffrey, here's another one. Low-level staffers. At the IRS, their first response was, this was low-level staffers. That narrative fell apart within minutes.
Yeah, I see this as a moving target from the IRS point of view. They keep on changing the direction as to who to blame what in this situation. I read the Treasury Inspector General's report, and in there it says, first thing they say was it was the manager of the unit that was involved with reviewing the applications, and that manager started off by issuing directions that were identifying Tea Party candidates, or candidates, not candidates, but in addition to the applications. Not only that, but within a couple of months thereafter, not only that, the manager of that unit and the manager of the technical advisory unit agreed to set up what they call sensitive case reports. Those sensitive case reports identified Tea Party applications. That didn't stay within the local office. That went all the way up to the director of EO organization. That director is now saying she didn't know about it till later. She actually knew about it in 2010. So I'm wondering what happened between then and now as to the change of the story.
All right, so all 3 are tied together with really ridiculous initial excuses. All right, Christian, I got one for you. Who's been fired from the State Department since Benghazi?
Well, no one really. Some people have receded, like Hillary Clinton, although she'll be back. A deputy assistant secretary who was one of, I think, 4 in the Bureau for the Middle East has been suspended, essentially, and some would say made a scapegoat. And, I think we'll be hearing more from them. And that gets to another common thread that runs through all of these scandals. They're the ones you've cited, which are the buck passing, and, of course, there's the lying to Congress element that runs through them. But also the soft on Islamist approach that President Obama has had and once again reiterated today. That's obviously a part of Benghazi, where they didn't want the electorate to understand that terrorists had hit us just before an election. It goes to the AP scandal, which at its heart was the administration not wanting the American people to know that on the first anniversary of bin Laden's killing, Al-Qaeda tried to hit us again. Really, it runs through the IRS one, too, because even though conservative Tea Party groups have been the focus of IRS harassment, a group that I'm affiliated with, Secure America Now, which is just foreign policy, nonpartisan, also was targeted just because we're not part of the Obama cheerleading squad.
That, and you had your information leaked by ProPublica. But suspended says to me, waiting for transfer to another agency. John, who's been fired from the Department of Justice?
Well, nobody. I would actually add it to Benghazi in saying that the deputy chief of mission in Libya, who risked his career by coming forward and testifying and telling the truth about what folks on the ground knew, he was demoted. I mean, look, another common thread through all of these scandals: one, they all involve potential abuses of power. Two, they all involve the president proclaiming ignorance, disclaiming responsibility, and shouting about partisanship. And three, they all involve an administration trying to silence potential critics, particularly during a tight re-election campaign. That is very disturbing.
We are starting to build a pattern here. Now, Jeffrey, I know that Stephen Miller was set to leave anyway, so I don't buy this thing about the resignation. Has anybody been fired at the IRS from senior management?
No, not at all. Not at all. In fact, I was surprised when they announced his resignation. He has 26 years of service. You know, he wanted to stay 30 years. So they did. They let him go, but there may be a golden parachute out there somewhere that that hasn't been allowed to the public.
Let me ask
yet.
you this, Jeffrey. You were a manager there. You were higher up. How hard is it to fire one of these people? Is it really that hard to fire someone like a Lois Lerner or Cindy Thomas?
Very difficult to fire an employee. An employee has protection from the union. They're members of the union, so you have to jump through those hoops, as well as their normal rights as an employee. So it's very difficult to fire an employee. Managers a lot less difficult to fire a manager, but there are still hoops that the IRS has to go through.
This just keeps getting better. Wait, guys, I got to leave it there for this segment. Christian, John, Jeffrey, you're staying with me. We're going to pick this up right after the break. We're going to keep covering all three scandals and Intimidate right next on Will Cow.
I am a target.
I am a target.
I'm a target.
I am a target.
I am a target.
I am a target.
I am a target. I'm a target. American citizens shouldn't be targets of their own government.
Help Freedom Works protect all Americans.
Go to protectpatriotrights.com.
The truth is our weapon.
An important message for those who have currently applied or are thinking about applying for a reverse mortgage. You've probably seen commercials with famous actors talking about reverse mortgages, telling you how you can eliminate your monthly mortgage payment, still own your home, and live the life of your dreams. Well, most of that is true, but you need the facts. Call now for our 7 Secrets of Reverse Mortgages. This simple-to-read brochure includes information about possible hidden fees, which program benefits you and not the bank, and how to negotiate better terms. We'll give you facts that are easy to understand. You'll learn about the 5 most misleading claims that some lenders make. For example, that you can't lose your home with a reverse mortgage. The fact is, foreclosure may occur if you live somewhere other than the home for a period of time, or you fail to pay real estate taxes or insurance. You need to call to get the facts. Operators are standing by.
Call 1-800-727-5424 or visit our website now.
Hi, I'm Joe Theismann, and no matter what stadium I'd broadcast from, I would always have to find the closest bathroom, just in case I had that sudden urge to go. My prostate was giving me fits. But then I heard about Super Beta Prostate's nationwide million-bottle giveaway, and I got a free bottle. What a difference it made. I don't have to go as often, and I don't have to get up at night as much. Now I wake up refreshed and ready to tackle anything. Super Beta Prostate has sold over 5 million bottles because 50% of men over 50 and 80% of men over 80 have prostate issues. Chances are you need Super Beta Prostate to keep you healthy too. What's so special about Super Beta Prostate is that it's the most widely used supplement supporting a healthy prostate. It has a trusted 10-year history, and it's all natural, made from a scientific breakthrough plant sterol called beta-cytosterol. You have to take 100 saw palmetto capsules to get the same amount of beta-cytosterol as you would from just one Super Beta Prostate tablet.
If you want a stronger urine flow and a more complete emptying of your bladder,
I recommend Super Beta Prostate. Super Beta Prostate works.
I couldn't sleep through the night. I found the Super Beta Prostate, which was announced over the radio. I got a free bottle, and now I'm sleeping all the way through the night. I am really happy.
I sleep through the night. I don't have any sudden urges to go to the bathroom.
Now I sleep through the night. I wake up completely energized, and my days are just great because of this product.
There's no reason to accept the issues that come with an aging prostate. So get Super Beta Prostate today. It works for me both during the day and at night. My wife and I sleep a whole lot better, and we wake up feeling more refreshed and younger.
Call now and we'll send every new customer a free bottle of Super Beta Prostate. Just pay shipping and handling. Give Super Beta Prostate a try for free. Call now, 800-849-0624, 800-849-0624, 800-849-0624.
Being a Blaze TV subscriber, you already know the value of your subscription, and you know how important it is to be part of a movement that thinks like you and supports your beliefs and your values. I'm asking today to support the Blaze by buying a gift subscription for a friend so they can experience the wealth of information the Blaze offers, like thousands of hours of exclusive content, knowledge, and inspiration. Learn, connect, empower. Share the Blaze with a friend today. theblaze.com/gift.
All accountability has gone out the window in Washington as the White House and leaders at the IRS and the Department of Justice and the Department of State claim ignorance in 3 ongoing scandals. I'm back with 3 former employees, 1 from each department. Christian Whiten is a former State Department senior advisor for the Bush administration. John Malcolm served as Deputy Assistant Attorney General in the Department of Justice's Criminal Division, and Jeffrey Galante held several high-ranking positions at the IRS. All right, Christian, I got to go here. Do you think the president was made, this is separate from the other 2 scandals, do you think the president was made aware immediately during the Benghazi attack?
Certainly I do. You know, it's not just talking points. When anything big happens in the world, you get a torrent of information. The president has his daily intelligence briefing when he cares to attend it, but really throughout the day, his chief of staff would be feeding him tidbits. You'd get emails, you'd see the news yourself, and everything from the second this attack started said Islamist attack. That's what the Libyan government told us. That's what the deputy chief of mission, who is still surviving, told us. That's what all of our agencies told us. So also, you know, the other thing is someone in the military chain of command had to tell our guys not to help our guys who were under fire. And that order can only come from a few people, and I doubt anyone in uniform like General Ham, the head of Africa Command, would have given it. So that leaves only 2 civilians in the military chain of command, the Secretary of Defense and the President.
John Malcolm, you think the president was fully well aware of what Eric Holder was up to with the Associated Press, now CBS and Fox News?
Well, if I were the president's attorney general and I was issuing broad subpoenas and search warrants for the content of emails and telephone records for reporters, I would certainly bring that up to the president's attention. I mean, these were all done in the context of a criminal case. Criminal cases usually result in indictments, and when those indictments come down, the methods that were used to gather evidence come out. This was very broad and aggressive actions by the Department of Justice that were bound to come out, and the media is understandably quite shocked by what they're seeing.
All right, Jeffrey, do you think the president was completely unaware of the IRS targeting Tea Party groups? I mean, first it was low-level staffers. It's gotten all the way to Neil Wolin. It's gotten to high officials in Washington, D.C. Do you think President Obama was completely ignorant of this till he, quote-unquote, read about it in the media?
Yeah, I wish I could say he wasn't aware of it, but after all what took place before, I believe he knew about it. Maybe not all the details, but in general terms, he must have known about it.
You know, Christian, this is another thing that I'm noticing. For the longest time, critics of the president were called racist, dangerous, and violent. Now, all of a sudden, you've got MSNBC types like Chris Matthews and editors at the New York Times and the LA Times writing op-ed pieces telling the president to come clean. This seems like a new thing.
Right. Well, you know, hopefully people are starting to realize that the post-partisan president is, in fact, the most partisan president we've had since Richard Nixon. And really, they've politicized just about everything, starting with foreign policy. You know, there were warning signs from the beginning, attempting to criminalize the lawful acts of the previous administration. You remember this president and his attorney general went after the patriots at the CIA, who took on the very difficult job of interrogating terrorists and deriving information that was critical to saving American lives. lives and helping to avoid even larger disasters in the war zones where we face some very serious consequences. So, you know, throughout this, there have been warning signs, but it finally took going after the media to get the media to pay a little bit of attention.
You know, John Malcolm, when we think of the Department of Justice, different than something like the State Department, we are supposed to believe that we are all going to be treated equally and our First Amendment constitutional rights are going to be respected. You think that's what got progressives really upset? They felt like they defended the president all this time, then it turned out he was going after media types?
Well, I certainly think that the press is waking up that on things like Benghazi and the IRS, that they have been and are being fed a line. And in terms of these search warrants and subpoenas, you know, the media's ox is being gored, and the president had considerable political goodwill with the media, and I think that that has now been exhausted. Whether it's gone forever, I can't tell you, but their eyes have certainly been opened.
You know, Jeffrey, I don't think there's anybody that likes the IRS. I mean, nobody. Probably not even big government Democrats. They might like the programs that we're taxed for, but the IRS is something that nobody likes. If the IRS is going to treat people unfairly, you know, some progressives might be thinking, hey, this is bad. What comes around may one day go around. We don't want to set precedent in the modern era of presidents using the IRS. So maybe some people are uncomfortable with that, too.
No, most definitely upset with that and uncomfortable with that. Yeah, among anything else, the IRS has to be independent, objective, and certainly not supporting one political party or another. They have to be apolitical. And most importantly for the government, the public has to trust the IRS. If they don't trust the IRS, the whole system falls apart. The United States tax system is based upon voluntary compliance. If voluntary compliance get eroded because of what happens now, major problems are going to happen. I think that's why the president tried to put a handle on it by immediately firing the acting commissioner. Did that help anything? No. I don't think he had all the information to begin with. I think he just tried to push it under the rug at that point in time.
That, and he was an acting commissioner who was leaving in June anyway. Christian, do you think somewhere in the hallowed halls of maybe Media Matters, somebody's saying, you know what, I almost missed George W. Bush?
I'd like to think so, but unfortunately, I doubt that. And, you know, part of it, there are going to be partisans that are going to stick with the president no matter what. But I think as more information comes out, but there is some question about that. You know, the House has done a pretty good job so far in shedding some light on these various scandals, but also there are problems, I think, in the approach. They really ought to have a select committee, and they ought to hire counsels because, you know, congressmen have a lot going on in their days, and you need people like Fred Thompson, the role he served in the Watergate hearing, or Michael Chertoff, the role he served in the Whitewater investigation. Someone like that in a committee whose job it is full-time to get the truth out of these various scandals.
John, you think the ACLU is missing John Ashcroft and Alberto Gonzalez at this point? I mean...
Well, from a fundraising perspective, I'm sure they do miss them, but the president's Teflon has certainly been nicked. You know, I agree with a lot of what Christian just said, although I would say that even when independent counsels and things were promoted, you know, were acting, it didn't stop shouting of partisanship. I think that the facts still need to come out. I applaud Congress for being aggressive in terms of pursuing these matters, all of which involve abuses of power, and the American public and the men and women who serve overseas in the State Department, on the battlefield, they certainly deserve answers.
All right, Jeffrey, real quick, we're out of time in the segment. You think anybody's going to jail from the IRS?
You know, right now I don't see that. There's supposed to be investigations ongoing with the Attorney General's office, but we'll see what happens.
All right, Jeffrey, Christian, John, thank you so much for joining us. Coming up, what if I told you there are black conservatives that want to get rid of the CBC? Would you believe me? That's next on Wilco.
Introducing the Blaze Radio Network, a free online radio network created by Glenn Beck. But it's way more than just Glenn. Built for conservatives and libertarians looking for uncompromised truth in their news and information, with simulcasts of Glenn's radio and TV programs, Pat and Stu, and Real News, plus original content with hosts Doc Thompson, Jay Severin, Buck Sexton, and more. The Blaze Radio Network. It's free and waiting for you now at theblaze.com/radio. Theblaze.com/radio.
I never thought in a million years
it would happen to me.
I was always careful.
Identity theft was never on my radar.
Identity theft can happen to anyone.
You are vulnerable.
If you're using one of these, your information is even more vulnerable.
I thought my credit card company would protect me.
I was wrong.
It's a common misperception. People think that credit card companies with their credit card fraud protection protect you from all identity theft. The truth is, they don't. Credit card fraud protection only protects your individual credit card accounts, not your identity.
Every time you pull out your wallet, you give thieves a chance to steal your identity. Simply buying groceries, eating out, or even just shopping online can make you a victim. And identity theft can cost you more than you realize. Your bank accounts could be drained. You could lose your ability to get credit. You could even lose your home.
The identity theft really turned my whole life upside down.
I didn't know where to start or what to do or how to take care of all this.
You need to take precautions to make sure that your identity is safe.
That's why you need LifeLock. LifeLock offers the most comprehensive identity theft protection available, monitoring billions of data points to help stop identity thieves before they strike. And with LifeLock 24/7 proactive protection, you're alerted by text, phone, or email as soon as they detect suspicious activity in their network, before it's too late.
You have to be proactive to protect yourself from crime. And that's especially true of identity theft. That's why I'm a member of LifeLock.
Absolutely no one can protect you better than LifeLock. Call 1-800-874-1202 or go online and get 60 days of LifeLock's protection risk-free. Order now and get this document shredder, a $29 value, free. Protect yourself now with LifeLock. Call 1-800-874-1202 or go online to lifelock.com/notify. Use promo code NOTIFY and get 60 days of LifeLock's protection risk-free.
Hey, this is Kirk Cameron. One of the most important things when choosing a college or a university is the quality of the academic programs. You want to be inspired and equipped while earning a degree in your field that will be respected anywhere in the world. Did you know that Liberty offers more than 300 fully accredited degree programs, both on campus and online? That means you can reach your academic goals anywhere you are. Liberty University, training champions for Christ.
When demand is high, so is opportunity. There is only so much silver in the world, and over half of all silver produced each year is used in industries that make products like cell phones, cars, and computers. This industrial demand is one reason silver has performed so well, and why some analysts are predicting a future surge in silver demand. Since silver is the lowest priced precious metal, shouldn't you see how silver can help diversify your portfolio? Goldline has been helping people acquire precious metals like gold and silver for over 50 years. Getting started is easy. Just call the number on your screen to receive our free investor kit. Shipping is free. You pay the same price using cash or credit card. And qualifying orders are eligible for Goldline's Price Guarantee Program. Call now to get started, because greater silver demand creates greater opportunities.
Welcome back to Wilkout. Tonight's daily digit is $2.5 billion. That's how much money Chicago's shootings are costing the city's taxpayers per year. That works out to be about $2,500 per household. And don't they have the strictest gun control laws in the entire country? So why is it costing them any money if guns are illegal? There should be no gun violence where guns are illegal. All right, the Constitution gives no preference to any cultural group or socioeconomic class. It is the foundation for the rule of law and says everyone shall be treated equal by government. So then why does something like the Congressional Black Caucus even exist? And to be fair, it's not just the Congressional Black Caucus. There's a Hispanic caucus, an Asian Pacific American caucus, a Progressive caucus, a this caucus, that caucus. These caucuses have a duty to represent all of the American people, not just one specific group, but they're failing to do so. They're instead promoting a polarizing message. America needs an agenda that fits all of us as parents, fathers, wives, husbands, sons, daughters. You get the idea. It's kind of about time to stop obsessing about race and find the best solutions for the country. Now, the Congressional Black Caucus, in many cases, is either ignorant to the harm it's doing to its own constituency and the country, or it sees itself as part of some race-based elite that can dictate what's best for others without suffering any of the consequences. In any case, like affirmative action, the Black Caucus itself is outdated. Now, let me welcome onto the program someone who's efforting to disband the caucus. Stacy Swift is the president of the Frederick Douglass Society. Boy, you're taking on a big task here. Disband the Congressional Black Caucus. You're going to make yourself a lot of enemies doing that.
That's okay. Jesus had a lot of enemies. Everyone who's ever stood for what was right in this country has always had a lot of enemies. At the end of the day, the Congressional Black Caucus is not necessarily outdated. They should have never been in existence. Here's the thing, Andrew. If someone wants to be a special interest lobbyist for some cultural ethnic group, that's their right as an American citizen. But they should do it as a private citizen. But when you're sworn in the United States House of Representatives, you are sworn in to represent all of the American people. And that would be true whether it be local or state level. And to the point of whether they're ignorant or whether they think they're the elite, they know exactly what they're doing. My contention is that the Congressional Black Caucus was absolutely created for the purpose of advancing the Great Society vision of LBJ. Remember, they were created just a few years after the vision of LBJ in 1965. I think the caucus was created somewhere around 69, somewhere around there. But since that time, they have been carrying the torch of these devastating socio-economic policies in inner cities. So they know exactly what they're doing. They're paid lobbyists, if you will, and I like to compare them to the African people on the west coast of Africa who sold their own people into slavery. The Congressional Black Caucus are utterly, intentionally destroying inner cities and black families.
But is also a nod towards elitism. There's always somebody that believes that somebody who looks like them or worships like them or is of the same gender or even sexual orientation must have their best interests at heart because, well, if we look the same or we worship the same, I can't possibly not trust you, as if the only criminal you're ever going to meet is somebody who looks different than you.
Have you ever seen or listened to Marsha Fudge, who is the chairperson of the Congressional Black Caucus? Listen to her one time and you realize you're not talking up. This lady's not very bright. I don't know how she got into elected office. If you listen to her, she's just a talking head. I agree with you in some cases that many of them have this paternalistic mentality and they think they know what's best. But the majority of them are simply talking heads. They're elected because they're not vetted. There's no standard. There's no expectation of a return in most inner city communities.
What about when they enable the tearing down of black conservatives, whether it's Tim Scott or Alan West or Herman Cain? If you offend the Black Caucus or the NAACP, then your offense is cemented and it's validated. But so long as the CBC and the NAACP look the other way, you can insult Stacy Swift, you can insult Alan West, you can insult Tim Scott, and you will get away with it so long as you don't have the anger of the CBC or the NAACP.
Continuum of slave plantation politics. Now, that sounds like a very toxic terminology to someone listening, but if you study the history of the slave plantation, you had people on the plantation who were what we call overseers. The overseers were black, and their responsibility was to perpetuate an environment, if you will, that would create a dissension amongst the slaves, keep them from being united. And at the end of the day, the slave driver, his responsibility was to make sure that the masses were in submission to the will of the plantation owner. Now, that's reality. And so if you look at the Congressional Black Caucus, no wonder they talk about Tim Scott. No wonder they talk about Senator Tim Scott. No wonder they talk about former congressional member Alan West, because these men are independent thinkers. They're offering freedom. They're offering what Harriet Tubman offered. You know, they're offering what Frederick Douglass offered. They're offering what Dr. King offered.
Shouldn't we always be wary of somebody who says, you know what, this health care program is great for you, I just don't feel like participating in it. Or that public school, that's good for your kids, but my kids are going to school over here. That's anybody. I don't care who they are. If somebody says to me, I want to use government, so you have to have this, it's good enough for you, it's just not good enough. That's
you should always be wary of anybody who would say, let my conscience be your guide, do as I say and not as I do. Absolutely.
All right, so where do you go from here? I know you want to take a message of freedom and liberty into the cities.
Yes.
That's where you want to go next. How do you plan to do that?
Well, actually, thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about that. The Frederick Douglass Society, we are launching what we're calling a Race to Economic Emancipation initiative in the inner cities in June. Now, we've done this on a smaller scale over the last couple of years. But the reason why we're calling it a Race to Economic Emancipation, first of all, is because this is the 150th year of the Emancipation Proclamation. We're going to launch it on what's called Juneteenth. And Juneteenth, for your listening audience, anyone that doesn't know that, is a celebration of freedom because General Granger of the Union Army went down into Texas in 1865 on June 19th and declared the war over. And the Republican Party, of course, made that possible. The Democrats today teach their constituents that it was a Democrat that did that. So what we want to do is we want to promote free market solutions in labor and education and health care. We'll talk about history, because in our history, lies our future, so to speak, and history is a human need. But what we want to do is we don't want to focus on history and slavery per se, because I'm not interested in talking about we shall overcome. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at history. We're going to juxtapose the historical lessons and experiences with current social economic practices and talk about where do we go from here. Some of the issues that we want to talk about are what we call 21st century Jim Crowism. For example, you have what's called the Davis-Bacon Act of 1931. A lot of people don't know that FDR and the Democrat Party.
Well, the truth is the free market has lifted millions and millions of people out of slavery and poverty.
Yes.
And if you could bring that message into the city, I would love to see you be able to do it. I would really love. I got to leave it here because they're telling me that the program's over. We'll have you back. We'll have you back. I'll have you back on radio.
Thank you
All right, Stacey, thank you so much for joining us. We're right. They're wrong. From New York, I'm Andrew Wilkow. Good night.